Donald Trump was at the White House briefing today, and he had some comments and some criticism about the DEI, FAA's DEI program, and he had, so let's go ahead and listen to that right here.
Have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
How does that
is amazing. What? And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office.
That tan is
recently,
fire.
Second term.
The eyebrows, too.
The
like
FAA
meaner.
is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened, because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it.
Yep.
Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of.
I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous.
It's, again.
How is that real?
Yeah, again, it's like, it's purposeful. This is how you slowly cook the frog, man.
Mm-hmm. I was saying last night on the after show that the go-to for the right is to blame DEI for everything.
Yep.
But I'm gonna eat crow. I mean, this might be, eat crow on that, because this feels like an actual real DEI.
Yeah, but my whole point is like, is there even
makes sense, sir. You did
is
make a lot
there
of sense.
even a step deeper?
Yeah.
Is this done purposeful by people to basically destroy us from the inside, right? And that's what I think's going on. Yeah. And the difference between us and Russia is that we have the internet and we can keep score.
Like, are you seeing like a Yuri Bezmenov situation playing out with this?
Dude, go down his list, bro.
Yes, yeah, we're there.
Bang, 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 bang. You're like everything,
100%.
everything.
Yep. Yeah,
and it's and you go, maybe McCarthy was right. Maybe, we always get these things where like we have these visions, these people have these brands, and we're like, oh, this person's wonderful. Like, my opinion, Princess Di, that the way we look at her, dog, she was at some Eyes Wide Shut with a mask on, and everyone was getting weird, dude. Because none of her kids are Charles kids. You ever watch that? Yeah. None of them are Charles kids. They all look like other dudes. So weird stuff is going on at these Eyes Wide Shut parties.
Are you saying like a Crowley George Bush situation as well, or
what do you mean?
Oh, isn't Crowley supposedly George Bush's
mom?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at in society.
But everything is like that. So McCarthy was painted as a bad guy, when in reality, maybe he was right. Maybe we were letting the barbarians in. But that's why I'm saying it's easy to go, this is DEI, and we blame it on, butch lesbians, right? When in reality, it's like, who are the people putting them in, and why are they putting them in?
It's a much deeper darkness.
So, okay, so then if you think that there are essentially agents looking to destroy society, right, is the long and short of your take. So what do you think their next step is going to be? Because these are, honestly, when you consider the size of the United States and how many people here, these are totally manageable situations when you consider 330 million people in the country, a whole continent spanning. So how like what kind of time frame are you thinking would it be like that they would actually do, or like expand on your idea?
It's January, dog. We're in January we're month 1 of this guy's presidency.
Okay, so hold on. You allude to it being something because of Trump's presidency. Please expand on that then.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, like, it could be possible that people, like, you know what I think Trump is? I think Trump is a crime boss, and he represents another crime family, and he's battling the George Bush death cult, okay, that's been in power since they assassinated JFK. And everybody on both sides of the aisle have been a part of this death cult, whether it's the Clintons, whether it's the Obamas. Like, I was on Rogan, and, you know, I showed him, like, the first common relative of the Bushes and the Obamas is a Hinckley, okay? They're all related to each other, okay? So I think he represents a different group trying to seize power of the White House, which is who gives out the contracts.
So do you think it's a JFK is the first bookmark of the beginning of the end of America?
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was like World War II, end of World War II, paperclip. And then
that's a great point. Like, you know, I don't want to get too much into it, but this Hitler loving going on is so ridiculous, right?
That's when it seems like
so
that's when it seems like both of our enemies infiltrated our country at a very deep level. I mean, you can go back and say the 30s too.
Now, I would push back against that idea because I think that is the whole infiltration that you're talking about. That was the progressive era.
Yeah.
Like, so the progressives that were created, you know.
When are you talking? What time?
You're talking about FDR.
Not just, that was FDR. I'm talking about Woodrow Wilson.
Because
Woodrow Wilson's the guy that
bookmark.
Woodrow Wilson's the guy that signed the Federal Reserve Act into law. He also wanted to start the League of Nations.
Yeah. Yes.
He was instrumental in the Treaty of Versailles, and part of why Germany had such harsh conditions after the First World War, and when you're talking about like the way that the whole world was looking, you had like communism was on the rise in the Soviet Union, and that was like the big experiment that the whole world was watching. And then you had, you know, Durante was singing their praises, saying that, you know, I've been to the future and it works. And even though it was a total nightmare, they were still lying and saying, because what they were trying to do, at least as far as I understand, is trying to consolidate power under essentially big government, right? Like before the progressive era, governments weren't thought to have that kind of power, especially when you're talking about democratically elected. They weren't assumed to be able to remake man. This was new ideas. Like it came after Hegel, which was 100 years before this era, but it takes time for those ideas to kind of filter.
I think we're talking about
they're in no hurry.
3 different landmarks in the deterioration of America. You and the Fed, for sure. Wilson was like Biden 1.0.
Sure.
He was like a zombie. His wife took over.
He was most likely blackmailed for alternative lifestyles.
Right. Also ran for his second term, saying his slogan was, he kept us out of war. Got in, went to World War.
As soon as when he got in, he was the biggest proponent of getting us into the war.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So what I'm saying is with paperclip stuff and then Marxists infiltrating the universities, that's the beginning of like the subversion and also the experimentation.
How about the dark journalist came on my show?
Oh, that was a great episode.
He was talking about, he's a great interview.
Yes.
If you ever get that guy, one of the best interviews you ever do. He's talking about how NASA was involved in the assassination of JFK because they were ran by Nazis who hated the Russians.
Right.
So, you know, that's where you get George Bush. That whole story's a lie. He got shot down 1 million. I mean, the whole thing is a lie.
So then to go back to Phil's initial question is like the timeline, what's happening. And you were saying we're just in January. Look how this month started. A Tesla truck exploded outside of a Trump tower. We had a terror attack in New Orleans.
That was just symbolism.
I think this is symbolism too.
Actual effect of that was like I said, we're a country of 330 million people. You span a whole continent.
Yeah.
A truck blowing up outside of the Trump Tower, that was pure symbolism, but it had no impact on the day-to-day life of the average American.
I would argue that it had an impact on the continued demoralization campaign on the American people.
I think most people, it just went over their head. It didn't compute.
I'm sure a lot of people already forgot about it. Like I think.
No, that's where we are. We're so busy. We're just saturating in dumb data that people aren't paying attention. But what you're doing is you're setting the stage.
Right.
And we're most likely, the world is ran by energy vampires who feed off our anxiety.
For sure.
And, anytime you can crank up the anxiety and get us freaking out, it does a lot. You know what it really does too? It really depopulates the population because it's hard to have children when you're in a constant state of anxiety. And we're the only animal that does that. We're the only animal that is in anxiety 24/7. Most animals, when the predator's gone, they calm down. Not human beings. Constant anxiety.
So again, I'm going to push back a little bit on that.
I love it
because you're that's true. Like human beings are essentially in a constant state of anxiety, but a lot of that is because we're conscious of our own mortality, right? Like animals don't really get that. They know they have no fight or flight and stuff, but they don't have the same kind of concept of I'm going to die someday. And when you can actually really think about that, you get that, people talk about existential dread and stuff.
Yeah.
That I think that is why human beings are the only animal that experiences it. Not to say that you're wrong.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm not saying you're off base. I'm just saying that the reason why human beings feel that way, I think, is more than just the conditions that we live in. It's part of being aware of your own mortality and being aware of your own existence.
But if let's just say real quick, I used to have a joke about because I went to the zoo and I was taking pictures and this bear was just doing circles and someone's like, I enjoy the zoo. They're treating animals horribly. I go, yeah, I bet you they do. But who treats animals worse in the zoo? Mother Nature, okay? Like what is the murder rate in the jungle? It's like 100%, right? So it's pretty crazy in the jungle, and they probably know that their mom and dad are gone. So I understand what you're saying there, but let's just take what you're saying in that we're aware of our surroundings and all that stuff, and that could lead to it. But what if you were an elite and you knew that? You could manipulate that constantly to put people in a constant state of fear, which makes them unhealthy. Like I'm a terrain theory guy, I'm into terrain theory. That's all I'll say about that. And so if you're constantly tired, constantly anxiety, you're going to get sicker and sicker and sicker. And you know what it is? They want us dumb and they want us unhealthy. You know why? So we can't have a clue about how our government works. And we don't understand. I've been doing shows where I'm like, I was talking about how gay I would be for Trump if he got rid of the Fed and the IRS. I would do really gay stuff with it. I would sell out where I am for Donald Trump if he got us rid of taxes. I would sacrifice.
LA's coming out and saying
I would sacrifice my manhood for all you guys. Okay, I'm not lying about that. That's how much I love it, you guys. Okay, no taxes, no IRS, selling myself here. Okay, and I talk about that on stage. I go, how many people would love to get rid of federal taxes? Nobody claps.
Really?
Nobody claps. And it's not just LA. I did in Illinois. I did all over the place. Nobody claps because they have no clue how taxes work. They're sold on that. Oh, but my taxes are going to the education. My taxes are going to the war. It's like, no, your taxes are going to pay off the interest on the fake money that the Babylonian bankers are printing constantly.
See, I would push back on that. Taxes don't go to pay off anything because when the government wants to actually fund anything, they just print the money. The taxes, taxes are only so that way.
Taxes are
hold on. Let me finish. Taxes exist only so they can manage inflation. It's taxes and interest. Inflation? Printing money.
Right.
Yeah.
And the interest on that money is what your taxes go to. You are paying off the interest, and the goal is never to be able to pay that off.
We're not paying anything off.
We are 100% paying off the interest.
We're not paying the debt and
but do you understand that that's up. Where it's never meant to be paid off. That's why they're printing it so much, because what they want to do is destroy our dollar. So we're all broke. That's why. But the money you pay in taxes goes to pay off an interest that will never be paid off.
They literally just destroy it. Like it's you when you write the check, they just take it out of your account.
I understand what you're saying, but it goes to pay off the interest. That is the game that is played. And there is an argument, a discussion that some of your tax money goes to pay the Bank of England and the Royals. There is an argument that Ben Franklin set that deal. But your tax money does not go to Ukraine. Your tax money does not go to Israel. Your tax money goes to pay off interest that is never meant to be paid off, ever. It's meant to just kill your dollar.
towards,
I'll put all my stake on it. That is exactly the purpose. Taxes are meant to make you poor and fill you full of anxiety.
So I agree about taxes exist. Like the reason to tax is to take money from people.
Right.
Because if there's too much money in circulation, that's it. That's inflationary.
Right.
Same thing with interest rates. The reason they manage or they raise and lower interest rates are specifically to manage the money supply, because if there's too much money, too much money chasing not enough goods, that's inflationary. But when it comes to like actually paying for stuff, I disagree.
That's okay.
I think that they if they want to fund anything, they just print it. They call over to the Federal Reserve and say, print this money up.
I totally agree with that.
Okay.
We're not
not very far
argument.
off. Okay, all right.
Okay. But I'm saying where the taxpayer money goes is to pay off the interest on the loan. This money that they print is a loan, so it's sending to that. That's where your money goes. And the misconception is that you're paying taxes to go to the U. Well, people go, I'm tired of my taxes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Infrastructure.
I see what
I'm
you're saying.
tired of it.
Yes, I agree.
Who's the loan?
Okay, yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
We're paying off the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned bank.
Right. So we're paying back to them.
Yes, and it's never meant to be paid off. It's meant to constantly get bigger and bigger, so they own more and more of us, and we're constantly in debt. So we're saying the same thing from different angles.
Yeah.
And also, why would you hire? I know FAA. It's not FAA is hiring people. That doesn't mean they're hiring air traffic controllers who have a vision.
That's so crazy.
But it's only FFA. They could be working TSA. I mean, isn't there a difference? A whole spectrum.
FAA?
Imagine if you didn't get the job.
Just regular workers in general.
Imagine if you didn't get the job because you weren't crippled enough.
Right.
Well, I wonder if
Only I were a dwarf.
Jeez.
I mean,
I walks in.
I wonder what, like, I can't imagine, and not saying that they don't, but I'm trying to imagine the circumstances where they're like, we're down 1,500 people, but we're not going to hire these people that are capable.
So crazy.
I can't, like,
just seems on purpose.
If you can't see well, please become our air traffic controllers.
It's by design. Like, I think when you talk about Besmanov stuff, then I look out and see the border, right? When I'm reporting at the border, you're talking to agents down there who were like, this is pre-Trump 2.0, they just told us to give up. They just told us to just let them in and give them the papers, take their luggage, give them a tag, take a phone call, send them on an airplane.
Demoralization.
And that's insane. So it's happening everywhere. I've been calling it like a pandemic of incompetence. But that's a low level.
Yeah.
The malice is hiding behind it and operating at like also at every level.
At the highest level.
Right.
Severe intellectual disability. What?
Severe intellectual.
Yeah, that's one of the things that
I could have worked there. I could have got a job.
I mean,
This is what they call dangerous retards, right?
Yeah. Are we allowed to say retard here? I've been hiding off. I'm not saying retard.
We're deep enough in.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
I just want to point out one of these crazy progressives, Nina Turner, who is always, you can always count on her for some kind of idiotic gem. She says, just so we're clear, when they say DEI, they mean black. And clearly that's not true, because what they mean is retarded.
It's so, and it's such lazy thinking.
Yeah.
It's just so easy.
More race baiting. That's all they do.
That's all they do.
That's Nina Turner's brand. If you follow her and look at her tweets a lot, it's always the same kind of simple,
and she's just playing to progressive white women. That's the whole rules of comedy and political correctness. I mean, I have a joke where I talk about my pronouns. I'm not going to say the word here, but
It's a great joke, everyone.
it's a great joke. And, progressive white people hated it. They would call me hack because that's what they've co-opted that term and made it about jokes they don't like.
Yeah.
And, but I have people pull me aside and they're like, hey, Sam, this isn't you. You're saying this word. This isn't you. And I go, well, how do you know who I am? And this, I got a lecture from someone that I love, but this is a comic who was going to go do a comedy event for registered sex offenders. And they thought it was going to be funny if they entertained these registered sex offenders. And I talked them out of it. I go, these are people that hurt people. But this is the person who's upset because I say a particular word.
Classic.
And she's mad about that. But then she's going to go and entertain people who've hurt women and hurt children.
Wow. It's not hack. If the joke makes a reaction, the joke works. I love that.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.